Hey there, my friend. It's Pastor Greg once again. You're watching Transforming the World. This week, we are talking about the characteristic of efficiency. And like I said yesterday, I'm sitting here trying to think to myself, how in the world is efficiency considered to be a Christian attribute? Yesterday, we talked a little bit about how we are efficiently prepared to share the hope that we have when an opportunity presents itself. And so we are working toward a goal. We have a plan to reach a point of spiritual maturity in our lives so that we are prepared to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm going to allow you to work through the questions in the self-evaluation section on your own. I don't really want to dive into them because most of the questions pertain to our day-to-day living and not necessarily our walk of faith or our spiritual journey, if you will. I mean, let's face it, I don't think a person with an untidy and disorderly room is necessarily, I don't think that person lacks the spiritual ability to be efficient in their practice of Christianity. You got a messy room, that probably relates more to your character than it does to your walk of faith with Christ. But as we consider our approach toward the Christian faith, on the other hand, there needs to be some sort of order or efficiency. It does. I want to examine the efficiency of the Christian faith on today's edition of Transforming the World. That's what we're going to take a look at. My name is Pastor Greg, and I'll be right back. You know, as God was preparing to reveal the mystery which is called the church, his plan for success was actually quite efficient. According to Paul, God distributed a full complement of spiritual gifts across a broad spectrum of people. I mean, God didn't dump all the spiritual gifts into one person, or he didn't dump all the spiritual gifts into every person. He spread the broad spectrum of spiritual gifts across many, many different people. And that's actually the efficient way to do it. And Paul explains this in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. There he says that each of the spiritual gifts serves a unique purpose. And working together, all these spiritual gifts that are in a multitude of different people, as they work together, these gifts sort of mesh and blend and complement one another. And what you have then is a group of Christians, when they come together to function as the body of Christ, there is a beautiful efficiency that is revealed. For example, I don't have your gifts. I don't have your abilities. But what the Lord has given me kind of contributes to our walk in my own unique way. I mean, I don't have your gifts, you don't have my gifts, but when we gather together, when you and I come together, we contribute in a very unique way to the work of the kingdom. And honestly, it's a much more efficient way of doing kingdom work when a group of people are together. Working alone, for example, I can't accomplish the same degree of ministry that you and I can when we work together. And then when you get an entire congregation and you get a church, when you have an entire congregation or a church that works together, each with its own unique giftedness, that congregation can impact an entire community for Jesus, because the workload is being spread across many different hands. God's broad distribution of gifts, it's a beautiful display of efficiency. The workload, as I said, is spread across many, many different hands. And the load that we can bear together is greater than what we can bear alone. So rather than dumping it all into one person, or rather than all of us having the full complement of spiritual gifts and ending up in competition, if you get my point, why God picks and chooses what gifts to pour into each individual. And one person brings a certain set of gifts and strengths to the ministry, and another person has a different set of gifts and strengths, and they bring that to the ministry. And rather than in competition with one another, we are complementing one another. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. When God was getting ready to reveal that great mystery called the church, he spread the load across many different hands. Paul reminds us that all of us together are Christ's body, and each of us is a part of it. 1 Corinthians 12:27. To be an efficient Christian is to realize that there are certain gifts that you don't have, but somebody else does. And so you let others excel in your giftedness while you strive to excel at yours. And there's a great example that I work with a lady in ministry by the name of Janice Bowman. Some of you may know her. She is a real joy to work with. Janice has incredible administration skills, incredible administrative skills. And of course, if you know me well enough, you know I don't. So working together, Janice and I accomplished more than what we could ever accomplish on our own. I let her excel in her gifts, and I strive to excel in mine. And together we are impacting the community greater than if we were ever to try to do it all by yourself. Again, that's efficiency. So to grow in your efficiency, I want you to first spend some time discovering how the Lord has gifted you. Ask yourself, what are your natural talents? What are your passions? If you don't know, Janice and I would love to sit down with you and help you discover them. But when you do learn where your passions and gifts, what God has poured into you, when you learn that, I want you to recognize two things. Number one, that your gifts were given to you for a reason. And number two, not everybody will share your same gifts. And that's okay. Because when we are gifted differently, and when we work together, even though we are different, we build up the body of Christ. That's what Paul teaches us here. That's God's efficient model for the church. And it's brilliant. And the way I look at it, it's brilliant. So we'll be back again tomorrow to examine another attribute of efficiency. My name is Pastor Greg. You've been watching Transforming the World.